What's going on, everybody? Frank from AM Ramen, and I'm in Kyoto right now in the southern part of the city, an area a little bit more off the beaten path. But one of my favorite parts of Kyoto, this is around the brewing district, the sake brewing district, or Nihonshu brewing district. It's a little bit away from central Kyoto, but there are amazing hidden gems here, including for ramen. The place we're visiting right now is called Yoshida, and we're gonna be grabbing 3 different types of ramen. One is their rich chicken ramen, their signature bowl. 2 is a tsukemen, or dipping ramen with fish and chicken. And the 3rd one is a soupless ramen. Pulling a hat trick today. Let's see what Yoshida here in southern Kyoto is all about. Let's go. Okay, here we go. Ramen has made landfall, first bowl of the 3, and starting with the soup in their signature ramen, which is made from a lot of chicken bones. Oh, that's good. It's got a strong seasoning. You're getting definitely a lot of the salt seasoning. There's a very welcome peppery kick on top of the chashu. You're getting nice, warm, salty chicken flavors with a little bit of pepper kick that comes at the end of that. It's like a very comforting soup. Wow, that's really good. Not as heavy as I thought. We're kind of in between what might be like a lighter shio ramen and a heavier tori python. And I, of course, will need to try it with the noodles. Oh yeah, noodles are fantastic on the thinner side and soaking up a good amount of the soup. You're getting those wonderful soup flavors that I just mentioned, but of course with the noodles with that pull-up, very, very good. This is so full of flavor, but it's not heavy to the point where it's not something that you could eat every day or every other day. I am digging this bowl, and you're getting some sweetness too. I'm just observing on the top of the bowl, of course, there's a good amount of negi or spring onions, green spring onions. This is something I love in Kyoto. And there's actually onions as well, mixed in, quite finely diced. And these are 2 sources of sweetness in a part of the country where sweet ramen is more of a thing compared to, say, Tokyo. What I'm gonna do now is have a bite of this massive slab of pork chashu. This is definitely a fattier pork belly slice. And again, with some of the remnants of that pepper on the fringes here. You would think I've never bitten a pork chashu before. I should have gone horizontally instead of vertically. A very good piece of pork chashu. Fatty melts in your mouth. But when you have, of course, the fat on one side and the more meaty part on the other, it's a perfect balance, I think. And, relative to where you bite, you're, of course, going to get more firmness or softness and so forth. And you're treated to in this ramen, of course, nice slice of chicken. Let's see what that tastes like. Excellent. The pigs and the chickens are getting along in this bowl. Really nice to have both options. If you add it up, I think all those pieces of pork and chicken as well, there's a lot of protein in here, so you can definitely get your protein fix. Great bowl overall. I can understand why this is their go-to. I'm gonna finish this one up, and then we're moving on to our dipping ramen, which is gonna be chicken and fish based, so a little bit of a change up. Okay, everyone, round 2. This is their dipping ramen or tsukemen, and basically they're using a different type of noodles. You can already see, I don't want to drop them on the table there, but they're using whole wheat flour, and you can see whole wheat flour flecks there in the noodles. And as such, I'm gonna have a little bit of the noodles just by themselves without the soup. Great noodles. These are quite different from the previous noodles in that they are actually not going to soak up the soup as much either, just realizing that from the texture right now. And that might be appropriate because we've got a very thick and rich soup from the looks of things here, even more potent, let's say, than the previous ramen. So I think it would again be best if they're not soaking up the soup as much. Now they've got 4 steps actually here. Their recommendation is to, of course, just have about 1/3 of the meal. 1/3 of the meal with the noodles and then just the soup. And I will do that right now with this delicious soup. That is good. You get those chicken flavors there, but what you're also getting is those sharper fish flavors. And the fish flavors are definitely like, hey, I am here as well. They're not completely taking over the bowl, but I feel like it's just enough. Chicken is there for that richness. Fish flavors are there also as part of the party, but it doesn't taste overly fishy. You get some graininess there from the fish, I think. There's a little bit more brininess. It feels a little rougher around the edges compared to the smooth, just chicken-based soup with the ramen. So yeah, a little bit more sharper edges, let's say, in this one. Delicious, delicious soup. If fish is not your thing, just go for the ramen. But if you're digging fish as well, or you'd like to have fish alongside chicken, this is a fantastic bowl, and I think these noodles are amazing. Now, the next step is basically to add some of the onions to the soup, and this is, of course, going to sweeten it. So maybe we're taking away a little bit of that sourness, and these are raw white onions, mind you. So I think we're going to be adding quite a bit of sweetness there. I'm going to toss that in right now, and let's see what changes. It tastes so much brighter. That sourness is in the background more. And when I say sourness, it's not like when you're tasting the soup, the first thing you get is sourness. But let's just say that the sourness is taken more of the backstage, the sour, acidic flavors, I should say. And the acidity is there now from the onions as well, but it's sweeter. Now, the third step is to add a little bit of the citrus here. So we have a bit of lemon. You can add this directly. You can add it on top of the noodles as you like. I'm going to put a little bit into the soup in the corner here. We will be adding some acidity again. So we're going back and forth basically. And let's see, I dipped it right into that pool in the corner there where I put the lemon. Yeah, everyone knows what lemons taste like. I don't need to go into detail, but it's just a nice way to change the flavor. And that's something you get sometimes with tsukemen or dipping ramen, and that there are opportunities to break things up, break up that rich soup. And last but not least, I'm just making sure that I've got the steps correct here. The last part is adding some of the soup wari or wari soup, and this is normally hot water and sometimes dashi. It might be a fish-based dashi to basically bring down the strong flavors of the soup so that you could drink it by itself. So I'm going to do that right now. Bottoms up. Oh. A delicious soup is there. I'm getting less of that potency in terms of the sweetness, sourness, saltiness, and what I'm getting the most of is now those gentle fish flavors. Still a little bit sharp, but those gentle fish flavors are there present in the soup wari and also in the soup itself. So I'm forgetting about the chicken a little bit and thinking more about the fish. A great full meal, and compared to the ramen, which is wonderful. I'm a ramen guy, of course, but this is like, in a way, a kind of course meal because you're breaking up the meal into all these mini experiences that add up to 4 steps in this case. Great bowl. I'm torn between which one I like more, but different ramen for a different day. Let's see how the third ramen stacks up against these two and what might be my personal favorite. Okay, so final ramen round. We now have their soupless ramen, or gatsuri ayame, as they call it. This is definitely a heavy bowl. There's no soup, but I think because of what's going on with the seasoning, or maybe not so much the seasoning as the fact that there are a lot of onions, there's a lot of garlic, it's gonna hit you in the face in a different way. And what's interesting about this one, before I grab that first bite of noodles, is that it's actually fish-based. They're using saba or mackerel along with niboshi or dried sardines. This is very much a soupless ramen that might be popular, according to the staff here, with locals, Japanese. Like, this might not be something that a visitor to Kyoto would always order. And a lot of soupless ramen is actually based around pork or chicken. That's where you get this greasiness that helps you pick up the noodles. But this is 100% fish-based. So very different, very unique. I'm excited to try it. And I think just to bring it back into abura soba or maze soba, I am in territory. We've got a lot of different cubes of chashu pork and also bits of pork that you might see in shogayaki or like a ginger pork stir fry. This is butabara pork ribs, let's say. So this one should definitely knock me out after having 2 others too. Out of habit, I blow on those noodles when it's not necessary all the time. Very nice. There's a good amount of heat with this too. There's chili oil in here, and that's what lingers. Like, the first flavors you get are definitely that fish and definitely that garlic, a little bit of sweetness from the onions if you pick up some of them along the way. But what lingers is that heat, and it's just enough heat. It gives a little bit of a burn on your tongue and in your throat. But again, it's not overpowering. This is very nice. And it's with the same great noodles that they used in the dipping ramen as well. Another banger. This is great. Have a little bit of that pork rib. It's nice to have something different, I think, compared to the pork chashu or the chicken chashu. I will do the bread. And it's like baked, and it soaks up a lot of the spiciness, all the flavors that I just mentioned. Like everything is like stuffed into this little piece of bread, and you're getting a lot of that heat as a result of that. It's like little spicy croutons. Very unique. The great thing about this style of ramen, wazusoba, is kind of like a tsukemen or dipping ramen. You can change the flavors as you like. I'm gonna lift this beautiful tray up here. Some of these that you see on any ramen shop table, they might be more for side dishes like gyoza or dumplings, but with soupless ramen, vinegar is sometimes a great way to cut through what is a rich soup. This is not as rich as maybe like a pork or chicken based one, but it is a way to change the flavor. I'm just gonna add a little bit of vinegar, and this is gonna brighten it up if you want it to be brightened up. It's like you're having another dish. It changes the flavor a lot with that vinegar. Here, I think we can skip the ryu chili oil. We've already got a good base of that. And then here, there's a garlic oil. So if you don't have any meetings for the day or the next day, you can make it even more garlicky. I'm just gonna try what this is like. I will put this gentleman back here. Garlic everywhere now, at least with that bit of noodles that I had. Very good though. So if you're craving a bowl that like hits you in a different way, even during the cold months, you know, we're here during winter, and I think of soupless ramen often as like a summer, warmer weather dish. This is still very satisfying in the winter. And if you're not afraid of fish, there is a certain level of, I think, Japanese-ness to this bowl that you would not normally get with soupless ramen or even some of the other ramen that we sampled today. So this is a very unique bowl, and I'm torn which one I like the most. I don't want it to be a cop-out, but I'm really liking all three of them equally. But in my head, I'm thinking that I might be going backwards with the ranking. I might place the soupless ramen at the top of the heap, followed by the dipping ramen or the tsukemen, and then the ramen. And it's not like it's this, you know? I think all three of these are great, and there's something for everyone here in Yoshida. You might ask me tomorrow, maybe the dipping ramen will take over this one, but I think the last two dishes that I had personally were the ones I enjoyed the most. Just chicken, just fish, fish and chicken, take your pick. All three are fantastic options. What do you both feel? Breaking the fourth wall.
Other way around. Ramen, tsukemen, wazusoba.
How about yourself, camera person?
For me, it was chicken ramen and the soupless ramen and the tsukemen ramen, actually.
So it sounds like for the three of us, basically, they're kind of, it's again, not like this, right? Like little incremental differences between the three. Well, not differences, but it's not a wide gap. A different ramen again for every day, depending on your mood. All three of these are fantastic. And yeah, come to Yoshida. You will not regret it. If you're in the south of Kyoto, one of my personal favorite, off the beaten path, not as touristy as Kawaramachi, some of the more tourist areas in Kyoto. This should be on your list. Please visit Yoshida. That said, I think we're ready to wrap up. Thanks everyone for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. If you enjoyed this video, hit that thumbs up button, like the video, and I hope to see you in the next video. Thanks a lot for joining. Frank from 5 AM Ramen signing out.